Hi, this is Nikki. Thank you so much for downloading America's Asses. We really appreciate it. Just a quick disclaimer that we don't know what we're doing and our sound really stinks the first few episodes. However, it gets a lot better, so please stick with us. Again, thank you so much for downloading, and without further ado, here's America's Asses, a Galcast. Hi, I'm Nikki.
Alyssa.
I'm Jamie.
And this is America's Asses, a Galcast. This is our first attempt at recording. Uh-oh, we lost Jamie.
No, I'm here. I just turned the video off.
Oh!
I get so distracted.
Where'd your video go?
All right. Hey.
I get so distracted because, like, half the time I'm, like, in my eye, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, stop looking at yourself, Jane.
This is our first attempt at recording America's Asses, a Galcast. It's a MCU-centric podcast by women for everyone. What do you say, gals?
Love it.
Absolutely love it.
We are watching WandaVision.
WandaVision.
I love it. I'm not going to lie, ladies. I seriously did not like the first episode.
Neither did I.
I was so confused.
I did
not only confused, but I was like, what is going on? And I didn't like it, but I knew I had to keep watching it. And I thought I was going to hate every minute of every episode.
Me too. I hated every minute of it. But then when we decided to do this and we went back to watch the first episode, I was like, oh my God, it's so good. Because then, we're paying closer attention to it. And
yep.
I still have many questions.
So many questions.
All right,
but
Jamie.
Hopefully we answer.
I have a question for you, Jamie. How long have you been a fan of MCU?
Oh, Jesus. Probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years.
Okay.
But I really, started getting into it more when and I started being together.
Yeah.
Like, I would watch, movies that would come out that would be, at the show. Wow, what a concept, going to a show. That sounds so weird. I would, when new movies would come out, any movies, I would be like, oh, let's go to the show and let's watch the movie. So I would watch movies then, but I really started getting into it when and I started dating, which is 9 years ago.
Yeah. Great. What about you, Alyssa? When did you first get into it?
2011, when I saw Captain America: The First Avenger and fell in love with Chris Evans. That was it. That was it for me. I saw the movie, went to Hollywood Boulevard with a friend because we were going there to meet Tom Felton from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And you had to have a ticket to get in line. You had to have a movie stub ticket from Hollywood Boulevard to be in line. Well, we could have just bought the ticket and then just gone in line and not seen the movie. But we were just like, okay, whatever, just pick a movie. And we were like, hey, let's just watch Captain America. That was, going to be starting soon. And we just went to see it. And I was hooked. I saw Chris Evans come out of that machine with those pecs. And I was gone.
Wait. Let's all be honest. Scrawny Chris Evans was even cute too. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
He was cute.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with scrawny.
No.
Lord knows he did a lot of them.
Yep. But it was 2011 when I first saw Captain America: The First Avenger, and I've been watching Marvel movies ever since.
That's great.
Yep.
I've always been a superhero kid. My brother was totally into Spider-Man as a kid, and when I was a kid, I'm so much older than you guys that I remember when Spider-Man I remember when Spider-Man was on Electric Company. That's really dating myself. Did you guys even know there was a show called Electric Company? Your brothers know. Yeah.
I knew that. Well, my brother's your age, so I kind of knew about that. And he, my middle brother, he was really into comics and was into X-Men, and he was a great artist. So he would draw,
great.
Wolverine and Venom and, all the superheroes. That was kind of my first introduction.
But you fell in love
later.
When
yes.
Yeah. So I've always known like Spider-Man, and always I was more of a DC gal growing up. I always liked because let's face it, Wonder Woman was the only mainstream superhero that any of us kids really had. I mean, we had Captain Marvel, but she wasn't mainstream yet. Not until recent years. And then I didn't really get into the movies themselves. I was, like I said, I was a DC gal. I was all about Superman, and I saw all the Dark Knights, and by myself. I'd go like opening night by myself, and all those movies. I loved all the Batman movies. Like Jamie, like I didn't get really into it until Mr. Big was like, "Hey, have you seen Iron Man yet?" I'm like, whatevs. I'm a DC gal. He's like, it might be a deal breaker. I'm like, I love the MCU. Well, it turns out that I really do love the MCU. And they do make stellar movies. And not to mention, like, just Marvel comics themselves are fantastic. Movie-wise, DC versus Marvel?
No comparison.
No, there isn't. I agree.
You can't.
So, WandaVision, ladies. WandaVision.
Woo-hoo. WandaVision.
This is episode 1 of WandaVision. We're set in the 50s. It's black and white. So, well, first of all, can I just say how much I love the Marvel logo opening? It shows the comic books flipping and all the characters. I just love it.
I always love that.
Gives me chills. Especially the opening one of Captain Marvel. That was right after Stan Lee had died. And it was all Stan Lee's cameo.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was beautiful. So we open up, it's 50s sitcom, it's black and white. And then here is Wanda in the passenger seat in a wedding dress, and Vision driving this old car. And they have a just married sign and cans hanging from them. They're driving down the street, and they wave at the mailman, and the mailman gives them finger guns, like, hey, how you doing? It's like an opening of a 50s sitcom, right? Like the Donna.
It literally reminded me of Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's actually Dick Van Dyke's house.
Oh, see.
It's set up very similarly. Things are just kind of switched a little bit.
See, now I think Dick Van Dyke was more of episode 2. But I love Dick Van Dyke.
Oh,
I feel like episode 2 was Bewitched.
Yes.
Episode 2 was Bewitched.
Yeah.
It was
like
episode 1.
They changed the house every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after Vision picks up Wanda and goes through the the threshold.
Yeah.
Normally Dick Van Dyke would fall on the ottoman, and Vision looked at the little so he looked at the chair and he exactly, instead of tripping on it.
Yes. See, this is why we're friends. Yes. I didn't think about that. Yes, Jamie. Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it's a combination of Dick Van Dyke Show, now that you pointed it out. Yes. Lucy.
Yes. I love Lucy. Yeah.
Donna Show. Hazel. Have you guys ever seen Hazel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so like my parents literally only watch MeTV. So yes.
I love
I love
Hazel. That. Yeah.
Like Hazel. Yeah. So it's like those 50s. Leave It to Beaver,
all the black and white type of
I am just calling it now, ladies. If they don't pay homage to Roseanne in their quote 90s episode, so they've got to. I'll be disappointed if they don't. But anyway, okay. Back to Wanda episode 1. We open up with Wanda, she's doing dishes with her powers. She's just standing there orchestrating with her hands. And then in comes Vision. And she flings a dish at his head and it breaks. And one of the most ironic lines of the entire show is right off the bat, right at the top. Wanda throws this dish at him on accident. Vision walks in and he goes, "My wife and her flying saucers." And Wanda says, "My husband and his indestructible head." And I said to Mr. Big, well, now we know that this is an alternate reality, because obviously she feels terrible about his head actually being
destructible.
And then, okay, so I need to pause for a second because I need to get more water. I'm parched. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay. All right.
I have one thing that just, ever since the beginning of it, that just keeps irking me. Why doesn't she have her accent? And I remember like them saying, you know, she had a terrible accent in Infinity War and Endgame. Like, it was just all over the place. But then now she just doesn't have anything. But I mean, obviously his accent, natural accent hasn't changed, but
do you really think she had that bad of an accent? I don't.
No.
But then again,
I just remember it going like in and out, like in Infinity War.
Yeah.
But that's just like the one thing. It's like, well, isn't she supposed to have a Sokovian accent?
First of all, have you ever heard of Sokovia?
No, that's their fake country.
Oh, okay. I looked it up. I'm like, wait, she's Sokovian. I was like, is it real? And I'm like, looking, I'm like, no, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
No, it's her fake country with her fake accent. But like now she doesn't have her fake accent anymore.
But why did they make her? Yeah, right. Well, why?
That's just what I'm.
A Bronx accent, and no one would be none the wiser.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like you start off, her first appearance, she has an accent, and then all of a sudden now, after I don't know how many. Well, it's been 7 years or whatever, and now it's just completely gone. That's just like the one thing that just kind of boggled my mind.
Man, I'm sure somebody. Well, we've got to ask Mr. Big #1 and Mr. Big #2, because you know they're the ones.
No, Little Big.
Little Big. Okay, we gotta ask Mr. Big and Little Big. Why did she? Because okay, here we go. Questions for clarity.
Oh, I like it.
Why doesn't Wanda have an accent? Okay. We'll come back to that next week. We'll figure it out. So that's our first question for clarity. All right. That's a very good question too, because I don't know the answer to that. I found it very ironic that she says my husband and his indestructible head. They banter back and forth and blah, blah, blah. And then they're in a conundrum. Dun, dun, dun. This is their big conundrum. They notice that there's a heart on their calendar, but neither of them know what the heart means. They don't know if it's their anniversary, and they're both playing it off like they know completely, but poo-poo on you. Your typical 50s conundrum, right? I looked into this date. It said Wednesday, August 23rd, but it didn't have a date on there. So I went to the Googler and I Googled myself up Wednesday, August 23rd in the 50s. And the only year in that decade was in 1950, that August 23rd was on a Wednesday. So it had to have been specifically August 23rd, 1950.
So I kind of went along the same lines as you, and I was like, all right, what does this date mean?
Yeah.
And I came across something that circled back to the actual comics.
Tell.
And it was comic 283, which is a mixed up combination of August 23rd. And and it was a comic episode, a comic series, a comic, what do you call a specific number, like a story?
Yeah, a storyline.
Of Wanda.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, I don't even know where I just went.
That's all right. We'll find out. That's awesome. I did not find anything, but the fact that, you know what, we got to hit up Reddit. Reddit, that's our people, man. They do all the work for you. You know, we need to look on Reddit. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has deconstructed every little thing. So that was Wednesday, August 23rd. They're both lying about the heart. I know what it is. Do you know what it is? I know what it is. Do you know what it is? And then they both act like they know what it is. Vision this whole time has looked like Vision, you know, the green and red with the what you call it, stone in his head.
The Mind Stone.
The Mind Stone. Thank you. He has a suit on and
very Dick Van Dyke-ish.
Very Dick. Very, very
yeah.
Dick-ish. He goes off to work and she's like, honey, and she points to his face and he's like, oh, yeah, snaps. He's like, oh, duh, silly me. And he changes himself to human. And then he goes off to work. All right, Jamie, what is this? Oh, it's Avengers.
So I found what I was reading earlier, so I just screenshotted it. It's August 23rd, can also be written as 8/23.
Okay.
And essentially, or it could be written as 23/8, you know, the date, then the month.
Okay.
And if you apply 238 to a number to a Vision in the Scarlet Witch series like Avengers, you come up with Avengers number 238, a story that dealt with an incapacitated Vision trying to reactivate. And then the picture that I sent you guys is the copy, the front cover of that comic. And if you look at the comic, you see Monica.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
This is awesome.
Is there meaning to it? Yeah, I don't know all of it yet, but we're going to get there.
We're going to get there. All right.
Because everything means something.
This is awesome. This is like gold. That's awesome. So then Vision now, okay, can I just say how much I hate Agnes? All right. I can't stand.
So annoying.
But I have to say, I love the actress. I forgot her name. That would.
Catherine Hahn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love her in everything she does. She is such a funny actress and she's such a good actress. She's such a good actress that I hate this character because that is the point of the character. And this is the point to be that annoying neighbor. There's a knock on the door, and then here comes the nosy neighbor, Agnes. And she, as Agnes says, she's the neighbor to the right, but her right, not Wanda's right. She welcomes Wanda to the neighborhood, and she brings her a plant. And of course, what does she do? Just walks right in uninvited and starts being nosy. I just have Agnes annoying, Agnes annoying, Agnes annoying. And then Agnes keeps guessing what their special occasion is because Wanda says, oh, we have a special occasion tonight. We're celebrating a special occasion. She doesn't know. So she's like, is it, is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Finally, is it your anniversary? And Wanda's like, why, yes, it is, because obviously that sounded good. Agnes says, the only way Ralph would remember our anniversary is if there was a beer named June 2nd. I mean, that was pretty funny. She's still annoying. And then Agnes tells Wanda that she'll help her plan her special night because she saw an article in a magazine about anniversary ideas. And the article was called How to Treat Your Husband to Keep Your Husband. She also then, in maybe one beat or two, followed up with what Ralph could use is how to goose your wife so you don't lose your wife. So, yes. They gave a little bit bitter with the sweet. At least they're making it equal.
in some way or another. The next scene opens up to Vision at work. Now, this, I think, guys, is a very important scene. It says a lot that I think we need to really remember. Because when he opens up, he's computing really fast, blah, blah, blah. And he gives it to the work to his coworker. And then Vision asked his coworker, what is it that we do here? And he couldn't answer. He didn't know. He doesn't know. He just knows that he does the input for the output for the input for the output kind of thing.
But productivity went up 300%.
And then the big boss man walks in, and his name is dun dun dun, Mr. Hart. And he tells Vision that he's looking forward to dinner at his house that night. Vision is like, duh, of course. The Hart was an abbreviation for Mr. Hart. Now, I had issues with this. You're a computer that doesn't forget anything. Why would you feel the need to abbreviate anything and then put a freaking heart on your calendar? We all know, whether you're single or married, that a heart means an anniversary. I'm sorry, it's just universal.
No matter what decade you're in.
A heart means anniversary. Plus, he's a machine. Why did he forget? He's a freaking robot.
He said he never forgets. So
yes, he's a robot.
So that means something.
Right.
Exactly. Yes, that means something. And then the boss was being a real big wiener. He's being a real big jerk to Vision.
Totally.
He's like, this better be a good dinner because your career is on the line, blah, blah, blah. Paraphrasing, of course. And then he's like, right, Dick? What was his name? Like Dick or Bob or one of those 50s names. And so he's like carrying a box. This little guy is carrying a box. He fired him because it wasn't a good enough dinner. It wasn't like a 10-course dinner. And he had
it was only a 5-course dinner.
It's only a 5-course dinner instead of it's 10-course dinner. And so he fired him.
And then he dressed like a beatnik because he wore a turtleneck.
Right.
And he didn't have a symphony, but he had a string quartet. Like,
right.
All right, dude. The boss is a bag of wieners. Basically tells Vision that he will be fired if he doesn't impress him at dinner. Okay, so Vision then calls Wanda. And Wanda is planning stuff with Agnes. Wanda answers the phone and they're in communication breakdown. Seriously. You're married. You claim to be married, but you don't explain to each other what you're talking about. This really irked me. He gets on the phone. Vision's like, darling, I have something I want to tell you, blah, blah. She goes, I know all about it. And he's like, oh, good. I'm glad that we're on the same page. She's talking about their anniversary. He's talking about his boss coming over for dinner. It's stupid. How does she know your boss is coming? She doesn't know. You didn't tell her. All you did was put a stupid heart on there. You didn't actually physically tell her that your boss is coming. So why would you think that she understands?
That she knew. Yep.
Right. But then again, as Mr. Big pointed out to me, that I need to hang up the little things and just go with the flow. He's like, it's a 50s sitcom. They're paying homage to the 50s sitcom. They stretched things pretty far when it came to probability. Wanda still thinks that she needs to seduce Vision, and Vision still thinks that he needs to entertain his boss. And then what do we do, ladies? Commercial break! Woo!
Okay, so this is where like my first big set of notes come in. The commercial is for a flippin' toaster.
Mm-hmm.
Probably,
the toast made
state of the art. Yeah, state of the art, for the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
But few things that caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
A, made by Stark Industries.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
B, remember how I had shared that like TikTok video with you guys about everything from WandaVision episodes 1 through 4 about the important things being read? Did anybody notice a flipping toaster blink red?
My notes. Yes, it's in my notes.
Okay.
But did you notice when you push the button down, it was blue and it sounded like Iron Man's suit when it went down, it made the noise like of his arc reactor.
Did it?
Yes.
Oh, now I gotta rewatch it. No.
I noticed when she pushed it down, it made the Iron Man sound.
Okay. All right.
It started out blue, but then it was red. And it was weird, like with the blinking of the red, and it's like beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, I noticed
the blinking. And I could be totally wrong, but I picked up on the color of the red, and it being a monochromatic black and white episode. But it blinked for so long, it almost seemed like the toaster was transmitting something. I don't know if it was like a secret device.
Love it.
Something. It didn't sit right. I was like, that is far too long. Like, that looks like it's doing something other than making toast.
That's a good one.
That's a good observation. Yeah, I love the tagline, forget the past, this is your future. That has something to do with something, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would you buy this? Would you buy the Toastmaster 2000? Because
no, I have an air fryer. That is my future.
I love how the salesman says it's the go-to toaster for all you clever housewives. I'm like, oh man.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's derogatory.
Oh, absolutely.
And then she seemed like a zombie, like
on autopilot.
Yeah. We get back to the show, and it shows Vision walking into the house with his boss, Mr. Hart, and his wife, Mrs. Hart. And this is where I feel that it picked up a little bit. Mr. and Mrs. Hart walk in with Vision, and they walk into their house, and it's all very romantic and the ambiance of romance. There's a
scarf over the light.
Yeah. Well, a scarf or babushkas over the lamps.
Yep.
Candlelight everywhere. I mean, it's dimly lit. It's dimly lit, but it's not pitch black in there. Vision goes to look for Wanda in the kitchen, and then Wanda comes downstairs wearing a negligee, or comes out of the room. There was no stairs in this one, but comes out from behind wearing this cute white frocky negligee. She covers Mr. Hart's eyes from behind and goes, guess who? I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that she honestly figure out.
She honestly didn't know that wasn't Vision.
Right.
The guy is 5 inches shorter and 50 pounds bigger.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Really?
Right. That was my thing. And again, guess what Mr. Big said? Stop taking it. Literally.
That's the dilemma, from that time.
I swear, yes. And that's it. That's the thing, is that he's like, you really, it's like, do I stop taking it literally, or do I start taking notes? Because what if that has something to do with something, right? Which we will find out later, that those characters definitely had something to do with something, right? So Vision turns the lights on, and they see their predicament. Oh my God, she's in a negligee. By the way, I saw one of, on Facebook, when you're scrolling, they have the videos and you just get lost for an hour watching these stupid Facebook videos. There was one, you're like, guilty. They were interviewing Elizabeth Olsen about how she only agreed to do WandaVision if they didn't make her have such cleavage. They had to make her dress a little bit more conservative.
Modest.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if you look, she's wearing a sexy negligee, but it's covering
you
all
don't see anything.
Right. All of her clothes in the first 4 episodes, she has some cleavage. It's not how it was in Endgame.
And, for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out, that she's very modestly dressed, really. And she's looking hot as really. I mean, she really is. Between her and Rambo, they are just gorgeous women. You know?
Yeah, they're killing it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They are killing it. Props to them. I lost my place again. All right. Finally, Vision tells Wanda that the heart on the calendar was an abbreviation for the dinner for his boss, Mr. Hart. And she said, what? The same thing I said at the beginning. You're a robot. You're not supposed to forget things. And why would you abbreviate with a heart and not just put Mr. Hart's coming to dinner?
Right. Who needs to abbreviate?
Right. Okay, so now they're in a conundrum. There's no dinner, and he expects this 10-course meal, lobster, all this stuff. Cut to Vision and the Hearts relaxing in the living room and talking. And Vision, this is the important part, ladies, that I think we need to take note. Vision is trying to figure out what it is exactly that he does at work. And his boss says that the forms that he processes are to analyze the input and their output. And that's all he says. Because Vision asks for more clarity and he goes, boy, you really are dense. And then they dropped it.
Yeah.
I think there's something going, nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing, because maybe, throwing it out there in predictions, maybe Wanda is making it all up and she just hasn't thought that far ahead. She had to throw
into all the details.
It says all else. He just goes to work and work. He's not a nuclear scientist or anything. He's not an architect like Brady. He's not a comedy writer like Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that, because I was like, there's something not right, but I couldn't exactly put my finger on it. But I think you're totally right. I don't think she's formulated that part of her ideal,
her alternate
vision.
reality. I agree. Yeah. So then, of course, the next scene, who do we see? The most annoying neighbor ever, Agnes. Agnes
She's back.
Yeah, she's back. So Agnes comes over to bring a gourmet meal for 4. Wanda keeps trying to get rid of her. Like, thanks, we'll talk later, but I got to get to getting. And Wanda knows the only way she's going to make this meal is with her powers. So she's trying to get Agnes out. Agnes does not want to go. She's like, listen, I can help you, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, thanks, get out, bye. Finally, she leaves. So Wanda finally starts cooking with her magic, or her powers, magic. And then Mrs. Hart wants to help because she hears Wanda knock over a pot. I don't know if you guys remember these, because these are very rare in homes these days, but they did have those trifold windows that went from the dining room to the kitchen. And it was a butler window, you know?
Yeah.
She opens the door and then Vision knows she's using her powers to cook dinner. So he starts singing Yakety Yak. I thought it was funny. And I thought he did a damn good job. I love Bendy. What's his first? Paul Bentley?
Bettany. Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany. Mm-hmm. He is such a good actor. I swear. He's a versatile actor. That's it. Very versatile, as is Elizabeth Olsen. I'm just saying. Not that I'm a mega fan, but damn near close. So he starts singing Yakety Yak to distract her, and she turns around before she actually sees Wanda with her magic. I have a question I want to propose to you guys. What about his boss?
That's what I wrote down.
Did his boss not see Wanda?
He was facing that way. Couldn't he not see that? He was facing them. Yeah, I wrote that down too. Okay, well, she didn't see it because her back was turned, but he was looking in that direction.
Right.
How could he not see that?
I know.
Mean, it's the whole window wall is open. How can you not see that?
I know.
It's not like it's a little window.
No, it was huge.
Right.
That was a question. So there's lots of unnecessary banter while the Heart's complaining about being hungry. I'm lightheaded. I'm woozy. I'm seriously dizzy, blah, blah, blah. And then Mr. Hart's being a big wiener again. And then who comes in? Of course, Agnes, but this time she rings the front door. She's really persistent, this Agnes, I tell you. She has a pineapple. She brought the pineapple for her to make a pineapple upside down cake. So they answer the door. They're like, oh, thank you. Dinner basically is a bust. Wanda doesn't have dinner. The lobster thermidor flew out the window.
The chicken, sorry.
Yeah, the chicken was well done. Then she
went back, and it went all the way too far back to being eggs.
Another question. Why doesn't she just snap her fingers and conjure it up? She can do that.
That's like she did with breakfast dinner.
Exactly.
Why didn't she do that sooner?
Exactly. I love breakfast for dinner. I don't care where I'm at. If there is an omelet, a pancake, a waffle, or hash browns on the menu, no matter what time it is, I'm ordering it. We lovingly call it brupper. Some people call it Brinner. I call it delicious. And Mr. Hart is complaining about breakfast for supper.
He's lucky he's getting food at this point. Right. I mean, let's be honest.
That breakfast supper looked really good.
Yes.
You had eggs, you had bacon, you had toast, you had it all. It was good.
But yet you're serving wine with dinner.
So they start to eat Brenner or Brupper or whatever you want to call it. Mrs. Hart starts to berate them with a ton of questions like, where did you move from? Where did you get married? Why don't you have kids? You know, stuff like that. And then you see Wanda go blank. She is checking out.
The anxiety hit her.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Absolutely.
So then Wanda and Vision start to try and make up a story on the spot, and they just can't seem to get a story out. They don't know why they're married, and they don't know where they're from. At least they don't know now. They may, I don't know, we may find out later, but we don't know. Mr. Hart demands an answer. He asks them over and over again, what's your story? What's your story? And why did you come here? What's your story? And then Wanda looks so worried. And then,
but I like how Mrs. Hart is like, oh dear, they're just trying to get their story straight.
Right.
Like they're just trying to figure out their story. Like she totally calls them out. Like it's no big deal.
Right. But it could go both ways. It could be like, oh, they're just trying to get their story straight. Like we know they're lying. We know they're just
right.
We know
they're just making up stuff, something to cover your ass.
Or they really just trying to figure out a way to explain their life story to them, right?
Right.
And then guess what? Mr. Bag of Wieners, karma's a bitch, dude. Starts choking because he was such a jerk to them. He starts choking on Brenner or Brupper, whatever you want to call it. And then Mrs. Hart is laughing. She's like, oh, Arthur, stop it. Over and over again. But eventually she's like,
freaky.
That was so creepy.
Wait, I'm going to point something out to you, ladies. It was creepy, yes, but there was a purpose. She's like, oh, Arthur, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And then she's like her face looks worried, but she's still giggling and she keeps saying, stop it. Stop it. And eventually she looks at Wanda and she goes, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And that's when Wanda, cool as a cucumber, says, Vision, help him. And then Vision waits a beat, nods his head, gets up from the table, goes over to Mr. Hart, who is now on the floor, and puts his hand through it because he can go through things, you know, puts his hand, grabs whatever it was, either the steak, sausage, or strawberry. I don't know. It's probably the steak. Takes the steak out of his throat.
Nobody notices that?
What do you mean?
His wife couldn't tell that he put his hand through it, or
he was on the floor. He was on the floor.
Okay, but he couldn't realize he couldn't, even though he's choking, he couldn't tell that this guy just put his hand through his body and pulled out what was choking him.
I felt like the boss knew that Vision went into him because immediately he got up. He's like, all right, it's time to go. They just seemed so weirded out, whatever we want to call it. They were like, that's it, we're up or out.
Yeah, I think they know what's going on because she looked at Wanda and told her to stop it. And that's when Wanda told Vision to help him to stop it. And it stopped. So right there it tells me that Wanda is controlling this entire alternate reality. She's completely controlling everything. And she was begging her to stop because that's her husband, you know? She loves her husband as much as of a bag of wiener as he was, you know? Like you said, Jamie, then he gets him up and then he's like a new man, right? Mr. Bag of Wieners is Mr. Sunshine now.
Right?
He's like, I'm proud of you, boy. Come on by the office tomorrow. We'll talk about that promotion.
What promotion? Where did that come from?
A, where did that come from? B, they don't even know what the hell they do there. C, they fed them Brupper. I had 2 bites and he choked and almost died, but he's given him a promotion where the other guy had a 5-course meal with a string quartet and he wore a turtleneck and he got fired. I mean, as clearly, there's something going on, right? And everybody knows this. And I think Mr. and Mrs. Hart is in on it in some capacity. We don't know how.
Yep, that's what my note was. My note goes, so they get up, they act weird, they leave. And then I said that I think that they were scared, and that's why Mr. Hart offered Vision the promotion. Because he was like, shit, I don't know what this guy is capable of. I'm going to keep him in my good graces. Son, you're getting that promotion. And then my next comment goes to, are they in on this? What part do they play?
That's a very good theory. I can't wait to find out. Seriously. I mean, this is just such a good freaking show. The Hearts leave. Wanda and Vision sit down, and now Vision is back to being all Vision, not human. She's just worried. She's like, we don't have an anniversary, and we don't have a song, and we don't have wedding rings. And he says, well, we can have them. They decided that August 23rd is their anniversary.
I'm going to have to read up on that comic book series and see.
Yeah, read up on it. Next week, come back. That's your homework for next week. Find out.
Okay.
Because if that's really the date of their anniversary, that would be awesome. So anyway, so they decide that August 23rd is their anniversary. And then they decide that the song Yakety Yak is their song because the whole thing with Mrs. Hart. And then Wanda just conjures up some wedding rings for them. She couldn't do that with Lobster Thermidor. She couldn't.
Right.
Again.
They went out the window, but she couldn't get them back.
The 1950s WandaVision credits start rolling. And then, dun, 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 this is what gets you to watch episode 2. The camera pulls back on Wanda and Vision in the 50s sitting on the couch, and they're looking at the camera. It pulls back on an old-timey 1950s, 60s tube TV. And there's somebody in modern times taking notes. Roll credits.
Right. But did you notice the notes that they're taking is in a sword notebook?
Yeah.
Yes, I did notice the sword. I noticed that today.
And there was the logo on the screen too. Not the TV screen, but the computer screen that was next to it. There was also the sword logo.
Sword, for those, let's see, what's the acronym for it?
Oh, Little Big knows that one.
Let's see. Sword school. What? Sword school? There's a sword school in Illinois.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, damn.
Sword is Observation and Response Division, which was founded by Maria Rambo.
Questions. What questions do we have? Just for clarity.
First off,
why doesn't Wanda have an accent?
Yes. But even before that you see them in the car, you said they had the just married sign with the cans and they're going in the neighborhood. So if they got married, wouldn't they have an anniversary date? And wouldn't they already have rings? If you see them dressed up, she had a wedding dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how did they just not have that later?
All right.
She washes dishes, but yet he doesn't eat, and apparently she doesn't eat either
because
there's
no
nothing
groceries
in the fridge. So what is she washing dishes for?
So let me circle back to one thing, and I have to credit Little Big for this one. at the end scene, as they're pulling away from Wanda and Vision sitting in front of the couch, staring, into the camera.
Yes.
As they're pulling out and the credits start to roll, Little Big points out that it's framed in the shape of a hexagon, which he points out that is the shape of the town that we come to know in episode 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
the
noticed
bubble
that.
is a hexagon.
Instead of like the heart, like I Love Lucy, where like it would pan out to like the heart, it was a hexagon instead.
Bravo.
Good job, Little Big.
Bravo, Little Big. Bravo.
Did you notice on Vision's tie that there's a battery? He had like a battery logo on his tie with like a plus and minus. Yeah. I noticed his tie. Yeah. It had a battery logo.
Oh,
like
man.
It was just like a simple little battery icon with a plus and minus. Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
That makes sense though. I mean, he's a machine, right?
Yeah.
What about his coworker? What do you think that whole shtick about them not knowing what they do? Well, do you think we're going to figure that out later on?
I don't know, because I feel like that goes back to what we were saying about how Wanda just didn't give that much thought.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
She didn't analyze it like we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we do, right, ladies? Why did Mrs. Hart start telling Wanda to stop it? She has to know what's going on, right? She has to know that Wanda is creating this alternate reality. And then who's the person taking the notes? I mean, we eventually find out because we've seen the first 4 episodes, but that was my initial question, like, holy so,
exactly.
Why is Agnes so all up in her right? She is like up in there and she just won't leave her alone.
Because that's what nosy neighbors are.
Yeah, I guess.
I have a good question or observation, I guess. When he's talking to her on the phone at work, he was like, this could be the end.
Oh, that's right. He did.
What does that mean?
This could be the end.
If this doesn't go right, this could be the end. End of what? Her alternate reality, the end of
job,
right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a very good. I put it in the notes here. What is the end? So we've been recording for about an hour, so we need to wrap this up. Thanks for listening to America's Asses, a Galcast, and we will see you guys next week. I'm Nikki.
Sounds good.
I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Jamie.
Sayonara.
Adios.
Bye.